Hey, Contract MVPs, it's Foster Sayers, General Counsel and Chief Evangelist for Pramada and Contract MVP. Today, I want to talk about standard schmandard, what to change when negotiating the industry standard limitation of liability. So what is that standard? Well, let's look at it in this practice example on how to push back on it. So here we say that the limitation of liability is going to be capped at the amount equal to the fees paid by customer in the 12 months preceding the claim. So this is the prevailing standard. And when it's not, the changes are that it's typically a multiple of fees paid. The fact is, the standard of having the limit tied to the fees paid in some form or fashion is the prevailing standard. And so I can help you push back time and again on that prevailing standard in this way. And what the tip I'm sharing is ultimately about this. Don't be SOL on your LOL. Well, how could that happen? Well, look, when you're negotiating these agreements, it's often a new relationship for a new product or service. And so what you need to be aware of is that very rarely are you required to pay for these services in advance. Typically, you sign the contract, receive an invoice, you have payment terms, and you pay the invoice consistent with those payment terms. The result is a lag between the time that you have developed the full 12 months fees paid that is intended to be the cap on liability. And so you should change it thusly to payable and or paid. Why? Because let's say your service requires you to provide data. In that data, there's personally identifying information. In staging your environment, they move it into a public cloud container unintentionally, not realizing they had neglected to set it to not be a public container. And in that time, there's access and it's breached. And now you're required by law to notify those infected. That's an expense, that's a cost, that's a damage to you. And now you're at risk that they're going to say, well, sorry, but you're SOL, you haven't paid us anything yet. And so the limit is 0. Hopefully they do the right thing and work through it with you, but you don't want it to be a question. And you avoid it being a question by making this simple change to the industry standard time and again. So that's my tip and how you can say standard schmandard. This is what I'm asking of you. And it's a reasonable request. And I think you should all incorporate it into the way that you approach this issue. All right. Talk to you next time.